Hello, and welcome to UTB Blogcast number 101. We are here tonight with Brad, Blackberry Brad, Dave, and Roy. Say hello, boys.
Hello, boys.
Hello, boys.
Hello, boys.
All right, let's just start with a giant apple in the room and talk about Apple.
Oh, do we really want to start there?
We're gonna start
Apple
there so we can move on from. We're gonna start there so we can move on from there quicker.
You know what? I'm gonna start off by saying something that nobody would expect me to say, and I'm happy for Apple. I am. It seems like they're finally putting out a competitive product for the first time since I would say the iPhone 4S.
Well,
but
gee, Brad, what did they invent this time?
Well, that's just it. That's the problem. It's like they've got a decent phone. I'll say that. It looks like it. We'll see if it blows up in people's pockets. But as for right now, it seems like a decent phone. But I've got huge problems with it. Number one, there's really nothing that extravagant about it, right? I mean, like, is it anything that's making any of us look, ooh, I want that? But then they have that big show that.
Okay, well, let's clarify. Roll back a sec. Are you talking about the iPhone X? And for all you iPhone guys out there, I know you hate that because it's supposed to be 10, just like BBX was supposed to be 10. So that's why I say it, iPhone X. Or are you talking about iPhone 8?
No, the 8's just
probably
stupid.
A 7S or something.
It's a 7S with a glass back.
Yeah,
it's dumb.
So you're talking about X.
Yeah, I'm talking about the iPhone X. I mean, suddenly they've got a modern screen. They've got a modern screen. They've got wireless charging. I mean, yay! They've entered 2015. So I mean, they've got what I would consider a decent phone. But the fact that they go and they have this type of show and this type of release, and that price on that device, it just makes absolutely no sense to me whatsoever. You know what I mean? It's like, congratulations, Apple, for joining modern times, but your pomp and circumstance is unwarranted.
You know that the X is for expensive, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But I must say that the marketing people from Apple they know how to introduce a device. I wrote it on my UTB post, and they have a phone. You can buy the same phone from a Chinese vendor for less, $900 around. And the only new feature that it really something that people will use is the Animoji. I think people will actually use it as a daily thing.
Not me.
No, it's really funny. I guess that you will use it when you will send Brad some funny things. Imagine a poo with your voice and your face.
Rag face.
Talking to Brad. I think it's funny.
It is funny, and in all honesty, out of that entire thing, the only thing I would like to play with on the iPhone X is that. I want to be talking poop. I think it's funny.
Yeah.
Am I willing to spend $1,000 to be talking poop?
Brad, let's be fair. You already are.
I saw a post. Don't remember where, but
where was it?
They wrote that some dad tells his son that in 127 that in the future there will be flying cars, a great technology, and 2017 Apple introduced the Animoji.
Yeah,
you can make noise and look like a chicken.
Yeah. Did you feel as awkward as I felt when he was doing that? Like I just, but it didn't feel good.
But his wage is good, so my guess with his salary, I will do the same.
The joke came home to rooster.
And does anyone think that Tim Cook was actually sitting there waiting to respond to that?
He made it before. He pre-recorded it.
I for the first time, I'm saying something nice about Apple. You made a cool little emoji thing.
Yeah. And somebody do a screenshot.
Yeah, and you've made a current phone, but there's no reason for that type of release for that phone, and the price is ridiculous. Ridiculous.
Let's talk about 2 points, 2 topics. The first one is the smartest move ever from Apple is to hire BlackBerry 10 engineers.
Yes.
And the second one is the battery issue. They didn't tell what is the battery size, and even on Apple's site, you will not find. Next to the battery, you will see last longer 2 hours more than the iPhone 7. So nobody.
So that means
really
it lasts
knows.
for 3 hours?
Yeah, something like that.
That's when you know the hardware engineers are all guys because size doesn't matter.
But
Apple never really doubled their battery specs until people tear it down. I mean, the iPhone 7 had a 2100 milliamp back scratching to me. You know, if you think about what the Key 1 has, for instance, is a 3505 battery, where the iPhone 7 had a 2100 milliamp battery. We all know how crappy battery life is on an iPhone. That tells you why. But Apple really doesn't just, show off the specs for their batteries because I think they're just too embarrassed. I don't know.
Yeah, and it's another case of, hey, your consumers want this. This is what they want.
Yeah,
and they just don't care.
They want to be connected to a wall.
Yeah.
Or something, I don't know.
My favorite thing, whether the battery is large or small, my favorite thing is that they finally introduced rapid charging. But in order to do that, you have to buy another $85 worth of crap. That's US. So it's probably a little over $100 for me, Canadian, to use the rapid charging feature. So you open the box and you can't have it. You have to pay more to get something that everybody else just gets out of the box.
Roy kind of touched on it, and it's one of the things that I wanted to add in that Apple did something good, and it's the subtraction of the home button, right? I mean, all of us were on BlackBerry 10. We all loved the gestures, and I'm glad to see Apple using the BB10 gesture because maybe it means it will be picked up by other manufacturers. Maybe Google will be picking it up soon. Maybe we will soon be doing BlackBerry 10 gestures on a BlackBerry Android phone. I would love that. So it's like, I'm not going to say they took a step forward because it really is a step, 5 years late, but they do have a method of getting other people on board with things. And I mean, you look back, I want to spend some time, and I haven't had any time doing it, but I want to start looking at these iPhone 10 reviews and finding the reviewers that are saying this is a great idea, and then rolling back a couple years and seeing what they said about BlackBerry 10. Because you guys know every reviewer talked about how impossible it was to use BlackBerry 10, and it's the same gesture.
Yeah. A lot of it was centered around the lack of a home button.
And they said that the guy that introduced the iPhone X said that the first time you can touch the software, and it looked like he thought this is the first touchscreen ever released from any manufacturer. You can touch software since the 80s. So something wrong with those people.
Any of you guys use WebOS or Wemo?
No.
Yeah.
No, I had a guy at work that did, but I never used it. Go ahead.
Okay, well, Brad did, so I can ask him a few questions because there's been a lot of comments on Twitter, on BBM channels, all this stuff, because, you know, of course, the first thing everybody said was Apple's copied BlackBerry 10. And because of that swipe up to home gesture, right? So I've heard people say this, even going back to BlackBerry 10 days back in the old Orange forums, where people are like, oh, well, they stole it from Migo, and they stole it from WebOS. Now, I wanted to look for it, and I started going through looking at old-ass YouTube videos, right? So WebOS did have a home button. They did have a swipe-up function, but that was to get into, like, it looks like their settings, just looking at the videos that I saw. And then the Migo, they had a swipe to the left option where you're kind of like swiping your app away to get to the home screen. So it's like the WebOS was nothing like what we're used to on BB10 from the videos that I saw. And then the Migo really was, except it was a different direction you're doing. It seemed like all the apps rolled in from the right to the, from the left to the right, and then you swipe them away from the right to the left. So, I mean, to me, it kind of made it look like it was a two-handed phone in order to be using it that way. So, I mean, yeah, you could say that BB10 was derived from that, and definitely looking at both of those apps and looking at the Playbook OS, it looked identical. Like it really did. The Playbook OS, there's no doubt in my mind that they didn't take the whole card idea from them. But I mean, my question is, am I seeing this wrong, Brad? That's the way they operated, right?
Yeah, so that's pretty much how WebOS operated. And later, you know, as WebOS progressed and got older and older, WebOS really looked like BlackBerry 10 to begin. You have to realize that the Astonishing Tribe, which is part of the development team from WebOS, they're the ones who came over to QNX and helped develop for the Playbook and later on BlackBerry 10. So, why theoretically the same swipe up gestures are pretty much coming from WebOS, that's part of that is true, but that's because that same development team came from WebOS, into BlackBerry 10 and QNX. And the same thing could be said about the iOS, the iPhone 10, right? There's a ton of BlackBerry 10 developers that are working for iOS and Apple right now, and there's no doubt in my mind that they brought that concept over from BlackBerry 10 because they developed it for BlackBerry 10 into, the iPhone 10. But yeah, WebOS definitely looked a lot like BlackBerry 10. If you look for a lot of the later products and stuff like that, like the Palm 3, the Palm, I forget some of the names, but yeah, they're definitely look like BlackBerry 10 and function a lot like BlackBerry 10 did for the gesture controls.
I get the gestures. I'm just thinking of the swipe up for the home screen. That wasn't there. That is what BB10 did, and it is what Apple did. That
was there. That swipe up gesture for the home screen, that was there later on down there. I forget how far into WebOS they put that. It might have been very late days of WebOS, if I'm mistaken. It's been years since I've used a WebOS device, but that gesture was there somewhere along the line.
Okay, if anybody has an old WebOS device laying around, send it to me because I got to see this.
So I guess in retrospect, Migo went the way of the Yugo.
I mean, everyone steals from everybody.
It's true.
On ideas, and I think the fact that Apple just makes it seem like they were the first ones get there, last week or this week and say, hey, you know what? We have this really cool idea. It's been done before in the wireless industry, and we're bringing it to the iPhone, right? I think people have been like, okay, cool. You're bringing that. You've mentioned that it's been done before, and you're showing it how you're implementing it into your OS. The fact that they always come out and say, this is brand new, groundbreaking stuff, and never ever happened before in wireless, whatever. That's what gets under a lot of people's skin, and like me, I forget what's their name of their it keeps escaping my mind, but the name of the processor that they announced for these two new devices, or these three new devices.
A11.
It was like
Oh yeah, and they did give it a name.
And it was like a name to make it sound better. I mentioned it in our chat, but I can't look right now. But if you really look at the processor is only a 6-core processor, which, you know, they give it a fancy name to make it sound like unique and innovating and new. But if you really break down the actual insides of that processor, it's what's been on Android, you know, 3-4 years ago.
Yep. So who's running out to grab the iPhone?
Well, let me say this: you know, the fact that Apple is bringing all these technologies and stuff, like wireless charging coming to the iPhone, right? The fact that it's coming to the wireless to the iPhone means wireless charging will actually start getting more and more traction.
It's bionic.
That's the only thing that could. Bionic. That's the name of the processor.
Yeah.
You know, the fact that Apple is coming out with all these, you know, putting all these fancy products and technologies onto their devices means that other accessory companies and other companies will start picking up on some of the stuff. Like, you know, if you think about it, wireless charging, really isn't that big of a deal right now. It's big to us because we're on the smartphone industry and the tech business. But, you know, most people don't bother with wireless charging because it's not something that's out there in the open as much. Now with Apple doing it, you're going to see more and more wireless charging come into play than you have in the past. And that's the only positive thing I can think of from this you know, more of these technologies and more OEMs will start putting these technologies into their products.
That's one more thing that I'll throw a positive hat in the ring with Brad and say, holy, you know what? They actually adopted a standard that's already out there instead of doing their own proprietary wireless charging. What the hell's up? I mean, they could have made another $100 with wireless, you know, Apple wireless charging pads. I kind of think they
away with it.
Right. I think they would have been crucified.
Yeah, they would have been crucified for doing that. And they knew it. Yeah, but they're getting crucified for that.
That's
like,
true.
I mean, I forget. I think it was Crackberry. They just ran a poll what you look for in your phones or whatever, and like 99% of the you know, people who took the poll said they care about having a headphone jack. You know, that's a huge number. I mean, you know, depending on how many people they polled, you know, it could have been 2 people, but you know, I think losing the headphone jacks is a big deal for a lot of people because, you know, Bluetooth technology, as good as it is, it still sucks for listening to music or anything like that. You know, it's not the greatest technology out there. And I know Dave's a big music buff, and he'll probably back me up on this, that wired anything is better than wireless anything.
Well, yeah, for the most part, as far as audio goes. I mean, Wi-Fi's another cat, but Bluetooth, yeah, you're right. So far, it's nowhere near anything a decent DAC can, you know, provide. So, yeah, I'm with you there.
Well, not only that, the Bluetooth sucks up a lot of power. So it takes a lot out of your battery. And when your battery is an Apple battery, that's, you know, how long can you listen to something? Half an hour?
Like 5 minutes, you know.
I'll probably never know.
How many songs does it take to get the iPhone battery to die? Hey, for anybody who wants to buy an iPhone X, I'll point you in the direction of the Key 1. You can buy 2 Key 1s for the same price of the X.
Exactly.
3 up here. I mean, if you want a decked out iPhone X.
Yeah, what's it up there, like $1,400 in Canada?
Yeah, it'll be $1,400 or $1,500 after tax for the 256 gig.
Here's the crazy thing that gets me about the price. That's just your base model iPhone X. That's your standard, I think, 64 gig is what they start off with. That's your base model. So if you want to go higher, your price tag goes skyrocket even more. If you want to put their fancy Apple Care crap on there, you know, you're paying even $130 more. So it's
don't forget the rapid charging $100 crap.
So by the time you buy your iPhone X with your protection, your rapid charging, you need a mortgage to buy it.
And your AirPods.
Yeah, and your earbuds. And your donate to Steve Jobs Fund program mechanism.
Mm-hmm.
Well, why don't we go ahead and switch gears to a phone that we all actually might want to buy and actually has a good battery, and talk about the new Krypton.
Major gear shift there.
Yeah. I'm tired of hearing about Apple.
How about them apples?
Or something.
Yeah, so the FCC document, how big is the Krypton battery? Is it 4,000?
I'm hearing
4,000 million, yeah.
And let's see, Rico just posted in our chat the iPhone battery sizes. The largest of them is on the iPhone 8 Plus and the iPhone X, 2,700 milliamps. So you've got almost twice the size in the upcoming Krypton.
Wow. Well, I have to admit, I mean, well, let's rolling back a sec. It's a slab. It's I can't remember the screen size, but it's, you know, what, 5.5-inch screen, something like that. I'm not sure if anybody's seen the pictures or the one and only picture of some guy who supposedly had one sitting on a chair in a booth. Probably wasn't supposed to be sitting there. And if you do a close up on it, it looks like the bezels are kind of huge at the top of the top and the bottom, but I don't know for sure.
You have to realize, I wonder how big that phone, or how much of that broke down was for a prototype. Yeah. That was. Sorry.
That's right. I don't know. So you know, we don't know a hell of a lot about the thing. It's supposed to have an equal or better processor than the key one. It's either 625 or 626. I don't know. I don't think anybody knows yet, except for the people who have one and playing with it in beta. And I think, unlike the new iPhone X, I think it has a home button with a fingerprint sensor on the front. Is
right.
Right. So
yeah,
here we were applauding Apple for getting rid of a home button, and now we're talking about a phone with a home button. So there's some irony for you.
Well, I mean, let's keep in mind, it's still Android, right? Android does not utilize the gestures, no matter if it's a BlackBerry phone or a Samsung phone. So how much flack is being given to Samsung for having the fingerprint scanner on the back? You know, if we're going to be having an Android phone with a fingerprint scanner, I'd personally rather have it on the front.
Yeah.
But yeah, I long for the day. I long for the day that we can get rid of the home button altogether and just go to gestures again.
Okay, so how do you
have to log in with my face?
Yeah, I was just going to say that. You did the segue for me. How are you going to do the extra security thing? Or are you going to be wanting to stick with a PIN or maybe picture password? You know, what about the no fingerprint unlocking? You know, if you don't like it on the back, what are you going to do?
Well, I think I said this before in the podcast. I don't think we'll see any type of facial unlocking, anything come to standard in Google for at least not a year or two. I mean, Samsung has it, but it only works with Samsung products like Samsung Pay. You know, I think Google's maybe an OS update or two away from that into their OS. And I could be wrong. They could see what Apple's doing and be like, oh, let's do this now. But, you know, I think if you get rid of the fingerprint password, the next thing on BlackBerry Android is you have the picture password, which I think is a fantastic, secure way of unlocking your device. So and PIN numbers, if you do them properly, they can be just as secure, as a fingerprint, if not more secure. You think about it, if you're standing next to somewhere, you leave your phone laying around, or right, once you get into your phone, they just take your hand and use your finger to get in there. So, how secure really is a fingerprint?
I don't know. And how secure is the Apple face recognition? I mean, they're insinuating that it's a 1,000,000 to 1 chance, as opposed to a 1 in 50,000 chance with a fingerprint or something like that. I forget their stats. But really, I mean, if you're a cop or somebody nefarious or whatever, and you grab somebody's phone, all you got to do is stick it in their face and you're done.
But there's a cop button.
There's a cop button?
Yeah. That came out before. There's a cop button that you can, some sort of action that you do that disables the face lock, so where you need to punch in a PIN. So, I mean, it's like, hey, at least Apple was looking forward to their criminal users, right?
Yeah, and something. Good, Dave.
Is that something that you have to do just before someone's beating the crap out of you, or
pretty much when you see the red lights?
Yeah, but there is no red lights when someone wants to beat you up in the alley. There's no red lights.
So the interesting thing about the face unlock with the iPhone, I was reading up on today. Apparently, you only have 2 attempts to get the device to unlock itself with your face. And if you think about it, according to Apple, it's continuously scanning for your face. So if it sees anything close to your face that it thinks is your face 2 times in a row, it's going to default to the PIN or password that you have set to it already. To me, that's kind of a big, bad thing already. It's the failure in my books. If it just keeps thinking that something else is you and says, "Oh, you tried 2 times already," without even you trying, or if you're sitting next to your phone and for some reason that scanner picks up your face somehow and it's right next to you, and it blocks you out of your iPhone.
I guess we'll have to wait and see what reality brings when the thing hits the street. And
then they all break because they're all made out of that.
I don't know. I mean, somebody will tell you that you're having an expression that's wrong or something when it doesn't work.
You're holding your face wrong.
Yeah.
That was one of my tweets.
Yeah.
Yeah, my face doesn't work. I need a new face.
Yeah.
What happens if you're a twin?
You got 2 phones you can get into.
Yeah, better hope you're a fraternal twin.
No idea. But there we were, segueing all the way back.
Yeah, we were talking about BlackBerry, and then we ended up.
I tried. You guys failed.
So Krypton, yeah, a month and a half or so from now, I'm hoping my carrier TELUS has that. Then I'll get.
So we're looking at October, right?
Yeah, then I'll get, and that's when I have my contract up. So hopefully, I'm going to get to be able to choose between it and a key one. Do one or the other. If I can get my mitts on them both.
How does anybody feel about it possibly being like a updated version of the DTEC 60? I personally think it's fine, because from what I've always known, I've never owned a DTEC 60, but the DTEC 60 is a fairly decent device, and if you put in the updated specs that this device rumored to have, and plus it's waterproof and dust-proof, I think it's no problem with it being just an updated version of the DTEC 60.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I don't know about an updated DTEC 60. I think the DTEC 60's current specs are probably higher than what this thing's going to come out with. I suspect that the Krypton will come out with 4 gigs of RAM and 64 gigs of storage. That's a good thing. And of course, the battery for me is the killer application. And it's full touch and I think stereo speakers, and that'll probably make Dave a happy camper. But I still think that its processor is going to be a 625 or a 626, and that cannot outshine the 820 that's in the DTEC 60.
You might be surprised because, I mean, honestly, where's Alpha? Alpha's the one that knows all these specs, but the specs in the Priv or the processor in the Priv is better than the Key One, right? Or supposedly.
Yeah, and many would argue the Key One's better.
Night and day. Oh, there's no argument. You know, there's no hiccup, there's no stutter, there's nothing going on in the Key One, whereas, and I'm sorry, I love the Priv. I'm using the Priv a lot right now, by the way, but there's a lot of hiccups and a lot of stutters, and the battery is not as good. And I mean, it's just, there's a lot that can be done with these devices besides just what the number of the processor is. That the Key One runs circles around the Priv.
Yeah, I mean, there's are arguing that they want the Krypton or the next BlackBerry mobile touchscreen device to be the spec'd out beast of a phone that, you know, has, you know, as good a specs as the Note 8 and everything like that, and can cook you dinner when you get home and such. But I don't really see a need to have the spec'd out BlackBerry. You know, the Key One. The Key One's not a spec'd out BlackBerry device. But it gets the job done. It gets you your battery life. I don't have any hiccups with my Key One. And every once in a while, if I play some, you know, crazy amount of number of games with other apps running in the background, you might see a little sluggishness. But other than that, it works perfectly fine to me. And so I really don't need a spec'd out device. I mean, what you put in the Key One, specs in the Key One, update the battery like you're rumored to do in the Krypton.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. I'm not I'm not insinuating that it would be a lesser experience. I think if you did a benchmark test between a Priv and a Key One, they'd probably look fairly similar. And I think, or maybe the Key One wouldn't look as good, but in actual reality, when you're using the thing, the processor is built in such a way that it's efficient enough to make sure that it's providing you the experience that you deserve. So, you know, just because a different processor can handle a few more you know, processes per second or whatever, it's in reality, what difference is it going to make for you? I don't know. For the 9 millionth time, or maybe the 101st time, because this is Blogcast 101, I'll say that I'm not a gamer and I don't really care about that kind of high intensity graphics crap. It just doesn't do anything for me during the day. As long as I can make my phone calls efficiently, do my emails and all my BBMs and listen to music and do this and that and the other thing smoothly and efficiently, that's what I want out of my phone, along with whatever documentation and things that I need to do for work. So I don't know. I'm not the guy that cares about the specs as much as somebody else might be who wants to play the latest game, whatever that is. Don't really care all that much.
Yeah, and you also have to realize that a lot of it could be software and the updated, you know, the processor type itself that's using. You know, they're both Snapdragon processors in both the Priv and the Key One, but you know, a lot of it has to come down with how BlackBerry optimized Android Nougat, of course, on the Key One, compared to how they optimize Marshmallow on the Priv to go along with that processor. And you know, the Priv wasn't the only one with the 808 issues with overheating and such. There's other devices out there that use that 808 processor that did experience overheating, and I don't know about sluggishness, but I experienced, you know, heat problems with that processor. So into how well the processor and the software was designed as well.
Yeah, I think the 810 was even more so that way, which, and it was completely available at the time, and I think that's why they opted out of using it. For the Priv, I mean. But like the Game of Thrones, there's one less Snapdragon available.
Spoilers. Hey, just for anybody wondering what's going on with BlackBerry Brad's sound, he's driving right now. We may have like the first on the road podcast live being streamed through YouTube. Just saying.
Yeah, sorry for if my audio is crappy. It's going through my Bluetooth audio in my car. So, but yeah, I'm driving up I-95 north to Connecticut. So that's the UT. And for the record, I was a part of the 100th episode of the UTB Blogcast.
You just never spoke.
I just couldn't get a word in with anybody on the
show. I saw ya.
I thought you were having some sort of
but nobody heard
issue.
Me.
Yeah.
Nope. Connection's smooth, man.
So, since you brought up episode number 100, let's talk about that a little bit, because let's just say it got a lot of attention this last week. Thurber kind of confirmed something that I think we all suspected on the Priv, and I think that may have been the first official confirmation on it. Ended up getting spread all over the internet. I found it kind of funny that a lot of sites that I know for a fact have no idea who we are was like talking about the UTB Blogcast number 100, like it was something they knew what it was. Hopefully some of them actually watched it or listened to it, and maybe they'll give 101 a try, but I doubt it.
Yeah, I even found it on a German site somewhere. I'm sure there's a hell of a lot more.
Well, that was Ben's site. You were like, look, we made it to Germany, and that's Ben. We know Ben. That's BB10 Kunix.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
he's a BlackBerry elite. He's calm. Yeah, we know Ben. Ben's a good guy. But we made it on like what is it? The Independent Co. UK whatever. I actually sent that one to Bigley just because it's like, hey, your rag website just sourced us, and they called us a mobile fan blog.
Yeah. It was a good week for us.
It was cool to see us sourced all these places, but it was also not so good to see some of the commentary that followed it, and even some of the commentary in some of the posts. And I did want to speak about some of that. Because one thing that I kept seeing was people saying they couldn't believe that Alex Thurber was confused by the fact that there were still BlackBerry 10 users. And it's like, I went back and I re-listened to that part again. And at no point was he shocked that there were BB10 users, right? If anything, I'm the one that asked the question, kind of surprised that there were, I was asking how many there were and how much the number was shrinking. And he was speaking about the pride behind it, right? How proud they were that there were still BB10 users. He's the one that spoke about how many BBOS users there still were. So I'm like, who read it that way? He's taking it as pride on the engineers that worked on BlackBerry 10 and BlackBerry OS. And then they completely twist it around to, well, he doesn't understand that why people are still using it. It's like, how about you listen to the whole thing, right?
Well, it's typical for things to get taken out of context, and sound bites and whatnot. There was also another point where he was ready. And he admitted it. It was like he was ready to take some flack about, I don't even remember what the exact subject was.
That was BB10.
Yeah.
Where he said he needed to take another drink of wine before we started.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah, that's what I mean. You know, so it's not like it's not on the top of his mind or whatever. It's not like he's not prepared for it or whatever. He knows what's going on. But like any other company, they have a particular direction that they are, dealing with today, and then they have the things that they want to deal with in the future and plan for and whatnot. So, was he ready to state anything future-wise regarding that operating system? Everybody on this blogcast and many people listening are going to wish that, or hope that that's true. The reality of it today is that it doesn't look like that, but I've been surprised in the past, and we'll see what happens. Is 10.4 ever going to come out? I don't know.
Which he said that the whole thing behind 10.4 is that it would be based on certification, right? It's not like there's going to be a new feature set coming out, which I know that we would all love. But again, there's no real money to be made on that. You can't keep throwing money down a well. They're not building devices. They're not selling devices. They're supporting customers that are out there. If something breaks, they'll fix it. If something breaks that their enterprise customers require, they'll fix it. To me, that's what support means. Right?
Yeah,
they're not actively developing.
They have to do the things they need to do to keep the people that are using those devices secure, safe, and and viable for the term of their contracts, whatever those contracts may be. And if that means pushing out a 10.4 with a list of security things that need to happen to satisfy some existing or new version of NIAP, NIAP, or whatever the case may be, then they're going to have to do that. They just have to. And we all know that in the past, it's been stated that they want to make BlackBerry's version of Android as secure as that. And if and when that happens, we'll see what happens on that day. I think I know what's going to happen, but we'll see.
The comments that I saw spoke mainly about the Priv not getting the nougat.
Yeah, that was the big one.
How people are disappointed with BlackBerry because they didn't release the update for the Priv. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I never saw any official statement by BlackBerry that they promise.
There wasn't. There wasn't.
From what I remember, every Android device gets at least one big update, one big OS update, and the Priv get the Marshmallow update from the Lollipop. So it's one update. It's a 2-year device. In Android world, 2-year device is very old device. And
that's extremely important what you just said there, because we're used to BlackBerry. We're used to BlackBerry OS. We're used to BlackBerry 10, where even our Z10 got 10.3.3, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's what we are used to as a community, and I understand that, and I would love that continued on that way. But we're in a different place now. We're in Android, and that is unheard of. And anybody that argues that BlackBerry needs to do this because BlackBerry's done it before, look how successful that was for BlackBerry. It was great for us. It was. But BlackBerry's not making phones anymore, right? BlackBerry almost went out of business. How many users are still walking around with Z10s? It's amazing how many there are.
Yeah, and the other thing you have to realize is if they push out a nougat update and nougat goes bad, or the update goes bad, BlackBerry really doesn't. Is there a customer service department in BlackBerry anymore for device owners? they push everything towards Crackberry for their support forums. So if something goes wrong, there's nothing really for them to fall back on.
I'm not sure that even if there's something wrong with the update, Google or Qualcomm
if they
or every other company will help.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. There's no possible support coming from those other guys. And anybody that says that the Priv should have Nougat and it's going to make things better, I'm going to give a plug to a Mobile Nation site. Head over to Android Central and search Samsung Galaxy 6 Nougat update. What you're going to find is you're going to find a lot of posts of people extremely upset, people wanting to roll their phone back to Marshmallow because the Nougat update destroyed their phone, right? They're having nothing but issues with their phone since they got it. So here we have, a phone that this is the same time frame as the Priv, right? The S6. Got the Nougat update, and it's all bad. It's all bad.
There is one more topic that we talked about it in the last few weeks, that Android users still use the oldest OS. They don't really care for updates. I think it's like you said, it's just our community thing that we love to get the up-to-date OS in our device. But in real life, Android are not getting too much updates. Every device, it's people still use 4.4, I think,
right,
on their devices.
And let's talk about what the differences are, because it was asked in our chat. I think it was John asked what the differences between Marshmallow and Nougat are.
Notification bar a little bit different.
That's right, and split screen, right?
Split screen.
Yeah,
my guess are
underneath the hood that code wise, some of that's all different. But other than that, you're not really missing features.
You're not.
And for the normal user, for the average user, there's not much different.
I find that Nougat completely and utterly sucks when you try and put it on a stick and roast it over a fire. Marshmallow is way better.
If you
for
look
that.
at the Google Nexus 6P, I think if you go ahead and Google Nexus 6P boot loop, you'll find a ton of people who have the Nexus 6P that are running Nougat, that their devices are paperweights because they're all stuck in boot loops.
Oh, maybe that's the when next time it comes around, the OS name will be boot loops.
Well, I mean, you see a lot of people upset that the Nougat's not coming, and I get it. I completely understand that, because you want whatever's new and modern on your phone. I do too. But looking at what's happening to the pure devices of the Priv and seeing the bad stories that are coming out of that, I don't want that happening to my Priv. And knowing the differences between Marshmallow and Nougat, I'm not missing anything, because I've got a Key One and I've got a Priv. And flipping between the two, I see, and we've said this before we knew about it, right? That we said this and the blogcast preceding number 100, that I don't have any problem flipping between the two. The difference between Lollipop and Marshmallow, I consider that a big update, right? It seemed like it was a new phone when I got Marshmallow, and it felt different. Going from Marshmallow to Nougat feels exactly the same to me. And anybody that's just dying to try split screen, it's not really worth it, guys. Like I tried it once just to see how it worked, and I've never done it again.
Tried it once for the review video, for the how-to video, but never after then.
But be fair, the screen is slightly smaller and therefore slightly less. Just slightly. I mean, I get the fact that if either one of those screens on a slab, a full touch device, is using a keyboard, then your space is even less than on a Key One, right? That's just the name of that tune.
Well, what would you, Dave, be using your split screen for?
I don't think we want to know what he's going to use it for.
I mean, realistically, what would anybody use split screen for? I mean, just 9 out of 10 reasons that you would use a split screen for, you'd be using the keyboard. Yeah. Now, if you were like most Priv users, if you were like most Priv users who make it a point to say that the virtual keyboard is number one and the physical keyboard, sucks, blah, 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 you're going to have less screen space than on the Key One. Because the Priv with the virtual keyboard provides less screen space than the Key One with the physical keyboard.
I mean, one use case for me would be to be reading something and there'd be a YouTube or some kind of link on there, and I'd happily split screen that to check it out and see if it was worth making it full screen or whatever and getting rid of it. I don't know. I could use it. How often? I don't know. I don't have it.
Yeah, I could use it. I just don't.
Physical keyboard owner or user on the Priv, split screen comes into play a lot because you have that full screen plus your physical keyboard. So if you're using something like a note-taking application or a word processing application, it comes in more handy that way. But other than that, there's really no use case scenario for split screen.
I don't know. Is it not true that if you're looking at a YouTube video or whatever, or maybe it's just music on YouTube or whatever, you can split screen that and it'll keep playing if you don't have YouTube Red?
Yeah,
I think that's true.
Weird like that.
So although I firmly believe that is utter crap and the standard YouTube app should behave, damn it, and keep playing in the background, stupid, because YouTube Red does, ass, At least if you don't have access to YouTube Red, it would still keep playing, which, as all BlackBerry 10 users know, can be useful.
Yeah, I mean, I think the one big thing that some people are kind of mistaking this for is, with the Priv not getting the NuGet update, they kind of think that there goes to security updates too, and that's not really the case at all, because even Thurber said last week that the Priv's going to get security updates till 2018, and that's pretty much when Google is going to stop providing the security updates to BlackBerry anyway. So by that time, it's not going to make a difference whether BlackBerry upgrades. If BlackBerry did upgrade the NuGet, that'd be a different story. But even Google thinks Marshmallow is no longer worth securing or updating, then by that time you might as well just get a new phone. You're number 3, you're at your Priv almost.
Well, that's pretty much where we're heading, is a 2-year cycle period.
But that's where we always have been, isn't it? I mean, I think the average use case for the average. I mean, there's people out there that hold on to their devices, no doubt about it. But there's a good chunk of people who who buy a phone, use it for 2 to 3 years, and get a new phone. Sometimes that's even a shorter time frame. But I think 2 to 3 years is your standard, phone usage.
Yeah, I've been pretty much once a year for the last while.
Yeah, I take us out of the scenario because I use there's some years that I use 4 different phones in 1 year, but that would take us out of the picture itself. But the average consumer, they sign 2-year contracts, and if you're in Canada, it's 3-year contracts or whatever, your 2-year installment agreements or.
No, 3-year was banned. It's law that it can't be longer than 2 year anymore.
That goes to show you how much I know about Canada.
Yeah. All you need to know is maple syrup and igloos. That's all you need to know. Oh, a little bit of tree hugging and some whale saving. That's about it.
Bacon.
Yeah. And an RCMP Mountie.
That's just called bacon up there, Brad.
Dudley Do Right, man.
Well, that's true.
Was there anything else that we saw come out of number 100 that we wanted to speak to? I mean, besides the fact that Thurber is just an awesome guest, right? I mean, we've had actually, let's dial it back a little bit to what we were going to say, the UTB 101, right? When we started out just as a bunch of fans, continuing what we had been doing in forums on a site, on a terrible looking site, not having any clue what we were doing. And we really couldn't get anybody from BlackBerry to even acknowledge that we existed, right? Over the last, year or two, that's changed. You know, I feel like we have a really good relationship with core BlackBerry, with BBM, forming a relationship with BlackBerry Mobile. And the guys that are running BlackBerry are incredible. You know, it's like we've had the opportunity to have Marty Beard on the show. We've had the opportunity to have Alex Thurber twice. I got to meet Grant Corville from QNX. The one constant about these guys is that we know that these are high-level professionals, right? These are engineers. These are people that are very technical, yet they have no problem describing to us, who myself, I'm not a technical person, exactly everything that's going on. You know what I mean? And Thurber was just the perfect example of that during the last blogcast. He explained everything to us. He spoke to us in layman's terms, explaining everything to us. It was a great blogcast. And I don't think people realize how lucky we are to have these high level of people speaking directly to the community like this. You know, it's like they're not at some theater trying to blow smoke up our ass about this being the next greatest thing, like Apple did this week. They're actually coming and they're speaking directly to the community.
Yeah, and I totally agree with that. I think that there's a bunch of people that reacted negatively to some of the things that were said, and all I can say to those people is, if you want to shoot the message, that's your right. That's, you know, you can have an opinion about that. No worries, but you can't shoot the messenger, man, because this guy came in with zero preconceived notions. This is a person who didn't, and many people do, he didn't demand a list of questions that he would approve or say no. That one's off the table. He just had one rule and one rule only, and it was, you can ask me anything, and if I cannot answer it, I cannot answer it, either because I'm not allowed to, or I don't exactly know that subject because it's not my cup of tea, or it's not in my rice bowl, or whatever, you know, whatever it is.
And it's a publicly traded company, so there's a lot that just can't be said.
Well, that's what I mean. He can skirt some subjects because he has to, and he can skirt some subjects because he wants to, but he comes on with zero agenda except to be part of the community and to speak the truth that he knows. So I got to hand it to the guy. Lots and lots of people don't do that.
And realistically, just a little background of him coming on the blogcast, right? It's our 100th episode. I was in the process of trying to find and get our old people back on here, not old as in age, but, you know, like Chap, which we found Chap, and Chap came back. Still looking for Bartron. I don't know what happened to him, and I'm kind of worried. And that was my goal. And was it 2 days? Was it 2 days or 3 days before Wayno just asked Alex, hey, you want to come on? And he's like, sure, what time? End of it. I mean, that is incredible to me. You know,
yeah.
You don't get that type of response from most companies.
No, I know. And he did it completely on his own time, outside of normal business hours. I mean, who the hell does that kind of stuff? He's right. And I've seen in his bio, I can't remember where, it might have been LinkedIn, you know, that he's the kind of guy that makes himself available. The term is not evangelist, that's wrong, but I can't remember the term, but it just meant that he makes himself available for people. He's a social person, and he wants to make sure that he's putting out, you know, whatever he can for the business that he's in, and that's obvious. Nicely done. Geez, Alex. Way to go, man.
I miss him.
Oh.
Yeah,
we better change the subject now. Yeah.
If it wasn't for Alex, a big 100 episode special guest would have been me, and that's no special guest.
Well, we would have given you a big hug anyway, man.
That's one thing. Brad was like, "Wait a minute, I thought I was the first two-timer," and it's like, dude, you're not a guest anymore. You're just part of the blogcast. Sorry.
He's no longer special?
No.
Please, won't you be my neighbor?
He doesn't have that new blogcaster smell anymore.
No,
yeah,
I'm
right.
just your average BlackBerry person. I think they just use me for my longevity. I've been around the block a few times.
Yeah, there you go. Abuse.
You're not supposed to know that.
Yeah. Too much information.
That's what happens when you give Brad beer.
Yeah.
And he's not driving anymore, by the way. Just saying.
Nope.
So what's next on the docket there, Erica? I know that we strayed fairly far away from where we were supposed to be.
The only thing we really have left, there's no good way to segue into it, but BlackBerry made an announcement about a new partnership.
Oh, well, it's time in the podcast to talk about Timex. See? There we go.
Yeah, can we call this like the head scratcher announcement of the week or something like that? Because it's just the announcement that had no details to it, which a lot of it was confidential. It's a partnership with Timex Group, which is a watch company, and my first thought was, ooh, Android Wear or smartwatch from BlackBerry. But I think it's more of a just BlackBerry has a ton of patents, and they're just unloading them because they can't use them anymore.
It's a patent deal.
Yep.
Now, the majority of BlackBerry's patents are all in communications, right? So
yeah,
I mean, like
acquired or self-created. Yeah, absolutely.
So I mean, as Apple suddenly discovered that a smartwatch can make a phone call this week, what are the odds that Timex is looking for the best in communications on an upcoming, smartwatch?
It's definitely, everything points all to that, because
I don't know, guys. I don't know.
Maybe it's a spy watch for the government.
There you go.
And maybe this.
Go ahead.
Maybe this is the smartwatch where we will first see the question that Roy asked Alex Thurber about last week, which is when will we start seeing BlackBerry secured on products?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'd love that to be true. I'm going to be the utter devil's advocate and say it has nothing to do with any of our desires. Nothing. And I'm not usually a negative person, but my first thought, like everybody here, was, oh my God, a Timex made BlackBerry smartwatch.
Yeah.
Take my money, and then reality sunk in a little while later, and I thought, you know what? Out of the 40,000 freaking patents that BlackBerry holds, including QNX or whatever the heck is under the umbrella, it could be that Timex just wants to do some particular function thing that you and I aren't familiar with on our average day. And so they, in order to do that, they need to pay a penny per device or transaction to BlackBerry, and we'll never see what that is or never be affected. I don't know. And so the negative Nelly in me went, because initially there was not even remotely a hint of what could come down the pipe, it occurred to me that maybe one of those 40,000 or whatever it is patents has nothing to do with any fun toys that you and I care about, and might just have to do with some function that they need to perform.
But we know that BlackBerry is licensing its patents already. How many press releases have we seen for just a patent license?
0. I mean, I think this might be the first patent they've, well, unless they haven't done so publicly, but hey, we could see a Timex watch with a trackball on it. Come on, have a little faith.
Yeah, it'd be better with a trackpad, but yeah, okay.
Well, you got to work your way up to the trackpad. You can't start.
That's version 2. Yeah.
Yeah.
We need to start with the wheel.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then Samsung technically already did that wheel turny thing. So.
And by then they'll have the version 3 will have to copy the Apple Watch, which will be swipe up for the home screen or something.
Since Apple invented it.
Yeah. So I don't know.
Can we not talk about Apple anymore?
Yeah.
No.
It's turning into Windows screen protectors here.
We should turn it into a drinking game. Anytime you mention the word Apple, you take a drink.
Oh, no. I have to get up early tomorrow. What was I going to say? Probably something incredibly important, not, I don't know. It had something to do with, people insinuating that BlackBerry is a patent troll. This Timex thing brought that subject up again, and that really pisses me off. You hold, I don't care whether it's 1 patent or 40,000 patents, I just don't care. You hold the patents and you purchased them or created them yourself, all legally, and just because you have a department of people that includes lawyers that has an eagle eye on those things, doesn't make you a frickin' patent troll. So get over it, people. Whoever it is that calls BlackBerry a patent troll, shut up. If you had a patent on something, you would protect it too. Don't tell me you wouldn't, because you would. So I'd like the people that call BlackBerry a patent troll to, for lack of a better term, go away.
Yeah, protecting your IP is not being a patent troll. If BlackBerry suddenly decided tomorrow to stop doing any and all business and just sit on their patents and sue people that were using technology that was remotely similar to theirs, that would make them a patent troll. BlackBerry is still doing all kinds of business. They're building off those patents. They're making new patents. That's not a patent troll, not by any means of the definition. Actually, I think if you really want to look at the definition of a patent troll isn't even, if you've created the patent, you're not a patent troll. Patent trolls are typically these warehouses that go in and buy the patent that have never produced anything. They just hold that patent and get income by using that patent and suing over that patent.
Yeah,
right?
It's much more insidious. It's a shell. I view a patent troll as a shell form of company that purchased some gray area thing patent and tries like hell to worm it into a situation where they can, it's like ambulance chasing. You're trying to twist it into something that they can make a nickel out of, and that's not what we're talking about here. This all started, patent troll talking about BlackBerry all kind of started when BlackBerry went after whoever those morons were that went and made the add-on keyboard for the iPhone. Oh my God. Now I have to take a drink because I said Apple. No, I didn't say Apple, but I'm going to take a drink anyway. And so it sort of started with that, or at least that's when it came to be prominent in my brain anyway, when I started to see people calling BlackBerry a patent troll. But I found that the most ridiculous thing to go after BlackBerry to make sure that they weren't being abused in that area. And this came at a time when BlackBerry was kind of down and they were getting kicked. You know, it was just ridiculous, rude, stupid.
Hey, half of BlackBerry's bottom line right now is from protecting your patents.
There's nothing wrong with that.
No, not at all. I mean, they made easy cash over somebody trying to use a patent without their acknowledgement.
And I don't even know. I wouldn't even call it easy. I'd call it hard. I mean, they paid good cash. There was a triad or something of people that purchased patents off of Northern Telecom. BlackBerry was part of that rim back then, I think, and they hold a bunch of patents because of that, and just because they want to put some effort into making sure those things are secure. That's not being a troll, and I don't think they're frivolous in any way, as far as I'm concerned.
So let's make our bets. I'm rolling it back. Dave thinks that we're never going to actually see anything out of the Timex BlackBerry deal.
80-20 rule.
We will see. I think we're going to see BlackBerry secured on something made by Timex. That's what I'm thinking.
Well,
how about Erica?
How about Erica? Hey, how about Erica?
I already told you what I thought they were going to do with it. It's a spy watch for the government.
Spy watch for the government. Okay.
Erica is the new Dick Tracy. Yeah, okay.
I'm with Brad.
Thanks, Roy.
It's as simple as that. I'm with Brad. Brad could say he's going for pancakes. I'm with Brad.
Yeah. Well, then I'd have someone to eat pancakes with.
Yeah, that's right.
I had pancakes this morning with Canadian maple syrup.
Did you now? I saw a picture of that.
Yeah.
I was duly impressed, I must say.
I thought about you when I ate the pancakes.
Oh, wait. Whoa.
Yeah, that's okay. That's a little weird.
Because of the Canadian maple syrup.
Okay, then.
We may need to say goodnight now.
we still need to hear from BlackBerry Brad, because right now I'm just imagining Roy really enjoying pancakes, thinking about Dave.
That's okay, buckwheat.
I think BlackBerry Brad is ignoring you guys.
No, I think
right.
So I don't really know what to think of this patent thing. I really just think it's Timex getting patents from BlackBerry and using it in their technology. I don't think we'll see a BlackBerry OS smartwatch. John Chen did mention, I think back at the AMG, that he, one of the things he wants to go after is smartwatches, but I just think this is a patent thing and a royalty thing for BlackBerry to get some extra cash off of Timex.
Yeah.
Well, see, my thought process is BlackBerry wants to jump into, and I mean, even Alex answering Roy last week, he said that, that John Chen asked him the same question that day. They really want to push into what they're terming the enterprise of thing, which is securing the IoT, right? The Internet of Things. That does include smart products. It does include smart watches. They're not looking to make these products themselves. They're not looking to have their OS on these products necessarily. They want to secure it. They want to be a part of it. We know that they want this BlackBerry protected branding out there. That's the direction that they're going. I think we're going to see it first on a Timex product. I think this is just some foreshadowing of what we're going to see.
And it could also be a licensing out of a new LTE variant Timex watch that wants a Paratech antenna in it. I don't know.
They have a ton of antenna patents underneath their name. I mean,
right?
Yes, they do.
Who knows?
If you know anything BlackBerry, they have always had really good their antennas in their devices. Minus the key one, which is not their device. So, my vote is C, A, and B.
Yeah.
I think Brad's secretly calling for a cab. He's had too much to drink.
I'm home and I need to get a cab home. Somebody come get me.
He's like, someone take me to Denny's. I need some pancakes now.
With Canadian maple syrup. Immediately.
While Dave is still on my screen. Okay, let me check. I opened up the channel comments for this blogcast just because I thought, hey, it'd be fun to do, right? And the very first comment we got was just a squirrely little smiley face, like, you know, the typical things that we turn the comments off for. We got Sean saying, welcome, that sort of stuff, waiting on us. And we got another person with the pin in their name just saying, So, needless to say, channel comments will be off shortly.
You guys get those comments. I never get those comments, which is, I don't know. Guess I'm not popular enough.
Everybody loves you anyway, man.
That's true.
Whether you have Canadian maple syrup on your pancakes or not, it just doesn't matter.
That's Roy, not me.
Okay. Anything else, boys and Erica?
I'm tired. Can we say goodnight now?
Ooh!
Erica's just the life of the party.
That's a segue with a dead battery.
Tell the truth. You're gonna go make pancakes, aren't you?
I actually am making pancakes this weekend. I might not eat them now though.
She's gonna make
what kind of?
She's gonna make herself a short stack and name it Dave.
I can't say what kind of pancakes because I'm gonna have to take a drink.
Oh, I get it. Okay, very nice.
All right, let's call it. Thanks for joining us. This has been number 101 of the UTB Blogcast. Join us next week for number 102.
All right, we keep ticking and take a licking or something.
Is that really how we want to go out?
Good night. Good night. Good night. Good night.